In this video, I'm introducing Cameron England. He's a 20-year-old entrepreneur who's earning $700,000 a month. That might just make him one of the most successful entrepreneurs for his age. And we really dive deep into the mindset on what it takes to operate at that level, and also how taking care of your health and your physique plays a huge role into achieving that success and getting locked in to being the leader you need to be to operate at that level. Let's get into the conversation.
I have a saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And your team recognizes that just by staring at you.
I also made the decision to go from, I don't need to manage my team and as much as I was. And, I was like, we can get away with doing like one sales team meeting a week.
In, bro.
Now it's like nothing slipping through the cracks. We do a daily CSM meeting, daily sales team meeting, weekly recruitment meeting. And we've got one-on-ones with every single team member where I'm personally going in, setting goals, calling them out, and anybody drops below the standard, they go.
When I'm hanging out with a guy and I want to know if I trust him 100%, I'll watch where his eyes gauge. Because if he stares at a woman, I don't trust him. Because of a man who can't control his lust, I can trust him in business. It's important for every man to have a foundation and have faith. I feel like every man that I met who doesn't have some type of faith is weak mentally and they give in to the temptations of the world. Our body is our temple. And if I don't take care of the temple, how can God reward me if I'm not looking after the one thing he gifted me?
Okay, so today I'm here with Jai. We're going to be spitting game on the raw truth of health as it correlates to business in general, what's working right now in 2026 when it comes to growing organically and on the paid side, and just overall the correlation with spirituality, business, health, the whole 9 yards. So with that being said, let's dive in. Jai, I'll let you introduce yourself as well, and then we can dive in.
Yeah, bro. Well, if you guys don't know me, I'm Jai, and I basically just help founders or driven men life max across all fields of life, spiritually, mentally, their mindset, and obviously health-wise, and that's what we're doing here, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been working with Jai now, and he's literally flown out to Bali, and he's been working with me, getting me locked in, because I think as an entrepreneur, it's so easy to put health as a secondary and think it's not a priority. You see all these founders that are billionaires, and you use that as cope to think, this isn't something that I need to get to the revenue level that I want to get to, which we had many discussions about, right?
Yeah, and I feel like so many people these days neglect their health and they feel like they have to just focus on the business and the business only, but then they wonder why they're not growing in every other area of their life. And then that's what usually I find is the biggest bottleneck in their business is themselves. And as soon as they get themselves on lock, what happens?
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah, and you know what, it's funny because obviously I work with like hundreds of other clients that like get coaching and stuff on the agency and coaching side. And what I realize across the board is it is usually the ones that are the most dialed in the business. That also bleeds into the way they show up in their health. Of course, there's anomalies to the rule.
Yeah, of course.
But you can see like chinks in their armor in their confidence and the way they show up that just subconsciously make you not have a higher level of respect
100%
for that person.
Yeah, and even just like in business, just taking care of yourself, and if you take care of your physique and you look the part, how much easier does business become, especially when you're closing deals?
Yep.
So if someone's like trying to close a deal and there's a fat person, they instantly don't respect them as much as they would a fit person, right?
Yep.
Because when you look at a fit person, they automatically see the consistency, delayed gratification, discipline, and for me anyways, they're the key elements in business.
Yeah, it's so funny you mention that because there was someone I know in the space, Jeremy Haynes, who actually mentioned this as in content. I'm sure he wouldn't mention or mind me mentioning it because he mentions it a lot in his content. But he said that one of the biggest reasons he's really dialing in on his health and getting in shape is because he feels like there's a big chunk of deal flow that he can't capture because people don't respect that he's not in like elite level shape. And I'm the exact same. I completely agree. For me, it's more so on the selfless side, the talent piece. So the way I see it is I can only get access to the best talent if I'm a leader that they feel inspired to be around. I went to a mastermind, it was around 4 or 5 months ago, and E-Man was doing a talk there, and he said this, he said that your team is looking at you always through the lens of, can I dethrone this person? And if there's a gap between
That's
where you
unique.
are, and it's just like human nature to want to be the ringleader, to want to be the top dog, and your team is subconsciously thinking that whether they know it or not. Can I dethrone this top dog? So I think not only do you have to continue creating that gap and reminding them like, oh shit, this is why this is our leader. And that usually shows through the form of character and doing things you don't want to do, which bleeds directly into how you look and how you show up.
And that's like, I have a saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And your team recognizes that just by staring at you. And if they can see you have every area of your life on lock, then it's so much easier to follow a leader who actually does that. And it's a night and day difference. Like even in the last, we've only been working together now for how long?
2-3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I can see a night and day difference in how you are performing. And even when I came into the villa today to go over like the health check with you, you said to me, I'm fired up building this A team. But before, in my opinion, when I spoke to you, your mindset wasn't there.
Yeah, it's true. And like we got up to like, 700 a month with like a very lean team, and the team was like, it was okay. We had some A's, but we had a lot of B's and a lot of C's. And you don't get in life what you want, you get in life what you tolerate. And for me, I was tolerating subpar people, and I was tolerating that because I was being subpar myself. There was areas in my life that I was not operating at the level I could or should have been. One of those was health. Like when we started working together, I told you, last few months, diet's not been that good. Been drinking alcohol more than I should be. I've been skipping the gym and my non-negotiables. When, look at last year, when I was like, I ran a marathon with the team.
Yeah, you're locked in.
Yeah, I was locked in. And I'm like, I need to not only get to that level again, I need to get way above that level. If I want to have a team that really looks up to me. And it's funny that I started posting this content, like holding myself accountable on that. And documenting my fitness side as well. And more just in general, my life, the lessons I'm learning. And the talent opportunities we're getting are going through the roof as well.
Oh, massively, because people see you respecting yourself.
Yep.
Compared to being a degenerate.
Yep.
And just sitting there drinking alcohol and just being fat and a loser.
Yep.
And that's just the way the world works. Is when people, like, look at all, in my opinion, like Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, and all these guys and these billionaires. Why are they taking care of their health right now? Compared to back in the day? Like, this is a genuine question. Do you think they would have been further in business if they took care of their health alongside of like growing the business?
Absolutely.
Curious. Why is that? I'm just curious.
It bleeds directly into the talent they can acquire, how they show up, them keeping their word. It bleeds into everything, 100%.
Yeah.
And what I will say is like, I find it hard, and I don't have respect for fat people that have a big business. Zero.
I work with a ton of fat people, but like I have less respect because you don't know what will. I've looked into their life behind the closed doors, so I know exactly what goes on in their mind. But it bleeds into every other area of their life, and if they can't control what they're putting in their mouth, how can you control? Like, how can you expect for them to control the room when you need them to control the room, right?
Yeah.
So like in terms of your business, bro, I'm very curious. When you're hiring someone, what are the key features you're actually looking for in terms of the mindset, spirituality, or like just even how they take care of themselves?
Yeah. So the way that I grade people when I'm hiring them is 3 different buckets. There's skill, will, and culture. So skill, number 1, is based on the role I'm hiring for. Have they done it before? Do they have experience? Are they skilled? Because like me trying to take a 2 out of 10 to be a 10 out of 10 is a lot harder than taking someone that's done this for 5 years, 7 out of 10 to a 9 out of 10.
100%.
So that's the first thing. Second thing is will. And this bleeds into coachability, being very aggressive in trying to achieve their goals, having the will, yes, high test. But at the same time, they also need to be willing to put their ego aside and be coachable. So it's like a happy medium of both. And I don't think it's like unmasculine to take feedback and implement it.
100%.
Because I'm very aggressive in what I want. But if someone gives me feedback, and I appreciate that feedback and I agree, I'm going to take it wholeheartedly and take action on it. So those 2 things. The final thing is culture, which usually if those 2 things are in check, culture's going to be there. But for us, we have a culture of extreme ownership. When they fuck up or when they win, are they going to hold themselves accountable? Are they going to hold other team members accountable and call them out? Are they going to focus on results? Are they going to be obsessive? I don't want someone who's going to clock in, clock out 9 to 5. I want someone bought into the vision that wants to go all in. They're the 3 things I look for. And again, this all bleeds into as well, just how they show up. For me, I've met hundreds of entrepreneurs now, like Miami, Dubai, Bali. I'm sure you have as well. You go to these
100%.
networking dinners. And you see people online and you meet them in person.
Oh, completely different.
Completely different,
yeah. Bro. And I can usually judge off their physique.
Yes.
It's funny, but when I see someone in like who's in shape versus out of shape and their online persona just say they're out of shape and then meet them in person, it's a completely different aura. And you've probably experienced that being in Miami or like all over the world as well.
Yeah. What I've noticed is you can meet someone or see someone online and they have this online identity and persona, but then you meet them and in a matter of 5 minutes, you'll know if they're full of shit or not.
Yeah, 100%.
And I can usually tell just through the way they show up if they keep their commitments. You can see by the way someone speaks.
Well, that's one thing as well. Like, because you keep yourself in check and you become such a great leader through everything that we're doing currently, right? You can actually recognize who you want to associate yourself with at in a quicker rate than if you didn't take care of yourself, because you have the mindset and you know what cues to look out for, because you're like, I'm doing X, Y, and Z in my life, and if they're not doing X, Y, and Z, I know exactly what's going on behind closed doors.
Yep.
And that way you can actually, well, in my opinion, you can sieve through people a lot quicker who's actually going to help build you up as you help build them up also.
Yeah, completely agree. It's like the way people show up externally is all based on the things they do behind closed doors.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And there's people that, honestly, like 90%, you go to Miami, Dubai not as much, but specifically Miami. You see
I have to go there and check it out.
Yeah.
What's it like? What's the one thing you notice?
I mean, like, there's definitely a lot of grifters there. Like, to be honest, I got in a good group there. I was with a lot of great people, but you can tell.
Because you've been there twice now.
Yeah. So I knew who to associate with and who to get with, and obviously, like, the good thing about building a personal brand is the better your network gets, the better talent you get.
It's a lot easier.
Opportunities. But there's a lot of grifters there. A lot of people that have the online persona, that they know what they're talking about, that are really good at what they do, that you think, that you meet them and they don't know anything. And I think that's actually like liberating in a way, where sometimes I'll pedestalize someone. You know, you might see someone online.
Do you do that? Do you pedestalize?
I try not to. I think it's definitely not as bad as what it used to be, where I might look at someone when I was doing like 10 grand a month, and they're doing like 100, 500, and I would put them on a pedestal. Not as much now.
Do you know what's crazy though? What I find is the more in shape you get, the stronger mindset you get. You actually I can't even pronounce the word, pedestalize people less when you take care of yourself. Because when I was dead broke and working in a construction job, right, I was jacked, and I never put anyone who was earning money on a pedestal because I looked at them and it was like a biological hardwiring.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't take care of yourself, so how can I respect you?
Yeah.
But then you add money into that, and that's where it comes into being a leader. And I think what you're doing right now is the best business decision you can actually make, is by getting into peak physical condition and getting your mindset on lock. Because you're being able to lead a team, they're going to respect you 10 times more. So when you say something, it's going to stick. Where when you're not in shape or you don't take care of yourself, like you were saying before, it just doesn't stick. They're not going to respect you or listen to you. So how can you run a team?
I completely agree. It's funny that in correlation with us starting to work together and me taking this shit more seriously now, I also made the decision to go from, I don't need to manage my team and as much as I was, and I was like, we can get away with doing like one sales team meeting a week.
In, bro.
Now it's like nothing is slipping through the cracks. We do a daily CSM meeting, daily sales team meeting, weekly recruitment meeting, and we've got one-on-ones with every single team member where I'm personally going in, setting goals, calling them out, and anybody drops below the standard, they go.
And that's because you hold that standard to yourself now. So now you can recognize where people are slipping, right? Because you're only as strong as your weakest links. And if you have a weak link, then you're going to make, this is on a subconscious level, then when you see people having a weak link, you have a soft spot for them. But when you're keeping yourself in check every single day and making all the sacrifices, it doesn't matter who's standing in front of you. As soon as you see something slip up, they're gone.
Yeah. It's just all about accountability.
100%.
If you're not accountable to yourself, you can't be accountable to others.
Yeah, it's so true.
I'm curious to get your thoughts on, because I know you're a religious man, Christian. How do you feel that bleeds into the way that you show up? And how is that like an important pillar in your life?
I think it's important for every man to have a foundation and have faith. I feel like every man that I met who doesn't have some type of faith is weak mentally, and they give in to the temptations of the world. And I feel like I trust a man or people in general when they have core pillars that are greater than them. Because if they're making decisions based on their own thoughts, right, and not a higher power, let's say, because I know you haven't stepped into faith, but you believe in
but I believe
but your higher power. But I believe people who believe in a higher power believe there's consequences. So, I feel like doing business with people who have their outlook of a higher power, it's a lot easier and more trusting and comforting because they know there's going to be a consequence outside of it. And in terms of how it's gone into my life, it's a massive foundation because it's being a Christian and how the Bible's written, our body is our temple, right? And if I don't take care of the temple, how can God reward me if I'm not looking after the one thing he gifted me? So I feel like my life goes the best when I have everything on lock. And not just what I'm eating, right? I'm talking about pornography, masturbation, women, lust. All of those things will rot your life away without you even knowing, because it feels good in the beginning and you're like, oh, this feels good. Then 5 months later, you're like, oh, I'm completely fucked. I wonder why that is. Because it sucks your energy. And me being a Christian, I believe in the devil. And why is the devil here on earth? Why does he rule the world? Because he wants to corrupt you and bring people closer to him. So that's where another thing where I've like really honed in my senses is the difference between a good thing being gifted to you versus a thing that's being gifted to you to break you down. So a lot of people think, let's just say for a woman, for an example, walks into your life and they think it's the best thing for them. But if you can't differentiate the difference between a woman of God, and this is just me speaking from a Christian man, and a woman of the world will destroy you, where the woman of God will lift you up.
Yeah.
And having those core pillars in my life has helped me navigate so many difficult situations where if I didn't have God by my side, I would be so confused.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts?
Few thoughts on that.
Yeah.
First thing is, when it comes to religion, I don't see any net downside of being Christian, for the reason that regardless of if you wholeheartedly believe or if you don't, as long as you follow the guardrails, your life's going to be better anyway.
Massively.
Because the guardrails and the fundamentals in the Bible are just like a good way of living.
100%.
And you're going to be less probable to just fall into the trap of doing all this terrible shit that's going on in the world. If you look at a lot of the bad things that go on, it's because they don't believe in that.
Yeah.
And it's because they don't have purpose.
Yeah,
they don't have something that challenges them day by day, which every single man needs.
I don't know a single person who lives by the Bible who has a bad life.
Yeah.
Even the people like in Kenya, for instance, like in Africa, the ones who are Christian, they can have nothing in their life and they're cheering because of God. But then I see people in like a Western society who don't have God and they're sad about not getting a gift, for instance. And it's a night and day difference between, in my opinion, people who truly, and I'm not talking like lukewarm Christians, I'm talking people who pick up the cross and carry it with their life. A night and day difference on how they perceive the world and how they feel with the negative things.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you can look at the negative, a blessing from God, more so than something that's a negative, your life just becomes 10 times more enjoyable.
That's something that I'm like...
And I think you're really good at that, bro. That's what I noticed. You can take any negative situation and turn it into a positive.
That's a really big
that's a
strength
skill
of mine.
Yeah, massively.
Yeah. And it's funny that a lot of these things just come from the Bible anyway, you know? And it's like, I think regardless, that is one of the best skills that you can have, just like adjacent to religion as well, which is just reframing everything to be positive.
Exactly.
And I do it with my team all the time. They'll be freaking out, they're like, you know, we launched this offer, this AI done for you thing, and it just didn't turn out that well. And I had a partner with that offer. We had like a split of revenue, and he's been on my team for a year or so, and he's living with us. And we had to have difficult conversations where I had to go, this ain't working, we're gonna have to unplug this. We had to let go of a bunch of team members. We had to separate everything. We have a bunch of clients we've still got to fulfill. For all these things we've got to figure out. And then I have team members coming to me on the team meeting like, what's going on? Shit, sales is down. And I'm just like, this is a blessing in disguise. Imagine if we were in the position that most business owners would be in, where they launch a new offer and they let it run for a year, 2 years, 3 years to see if it worked. We literally condensed that cycle into a 60-day window, and now we can move on and get back to business.
I'm just curious, how did you handle that internally?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of stressful moments and moving parts. So how do you handle that stress internally, man?
Good question. So are we talking internally, like mentally, or in the business, or a bit of both?
No, more so mentally, because I feel like, and a lot of people would agree with this, they don't know what goes on inside of your mind. And I'm not talking surface level, because I know you haven't posted much about your life, bro, or like how you feel.
Yeah.
So when you're going through high stress moments like that, especially running a business and climbing to 7 figures a month, how do you handle those stresses mentally? How
First
do you
thing
navigate?
is I consistently develop the habit, and I think it's so ingrained in me as a belief now that I don't need to, that every bad thing is a good thing. So like, you know when you're first starting out and something happens where, I remember for me, one of my first clients, I covered their ad spend. We were running ads for them. And they were spending 3K a month on ads, 2K a month retainer, 6 months went by. I land off a flight to Miami, they charge it all back on an Amex. No way I'm getting it back. One of my first clients. And that hit me and I shit my pants. But the way I see it is, every single challenge is an opportunity to develop thicker skin.
Yeah, that's fine.
Every challenge is an opportunity to develop thicker skin, and the thicker the skin is, the easier the challenges are to face. So when that all happened to me, I'd be lying if I said that I was freaking out, because it just genuinely felt like another day in the office. Because I feel like I've built the foundation of handling pressure so well, and I've handled so many challenging times that something like that didn't seem like a life-ending or business-ending thing. It was just, this is business, pressure is a privilege, which I tell my team every day. They come with me, they start moaning about, I've got this, my calendar's too full, I've got all these problems I've got to solve, you want it done in a week and it's gonna take a month. I don't give a fuck. Pressure is a privilege. Imagine how unfulfilling life would be if you had no problems.
And do you run your team like that and
Yes.
just like really pressure them? So just say a new team member comes in with this new mindset you have now. What do you put them through to make them up to the standard that you need them to be in the business?
Yeah, good question. So for example, one training that I did with my team on our last meeting we recently just did was I explained to them this analogy on Elon Musk and building a rocket that could get to Mars. His team said it would take 4 years. So instead of saying, okay, that's fine, he challenged them. He said, why not 3? Why not 2? Why not 1? And when they said it's not possible, he didn't just accept it. He fired them and brought in a team that could do it, and they did it in 7 months. That's the way I run my team. We recently just had, as a side note, we hired this like operations guy to help us build this internal dashboard. And he's like, this thing you're trying to build is silly. You should just use these project management tools that have billions of dollars of funding. He's basically saying what we're trying to build isn't possible. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm going to figure this out because I know this is best for the business. So we let him go and we're building it in-house, and it was one of the best decisions we ever made. So my philosophy on that, number one, is just challenging timeframes all the time. They tell me it can get done in a week. Why not 6 days? Why not 5? Why not 4? Until fundamentally we just can't get it done.
I think that's such a good mindset to have, and I've personally never looked at it like that.
Yeah.
But if anyone says, oh, this only can be done in X amount of time, and just to push back. It's a very unique way of looking at things.
Yeah, I got it from Elon Musk when I saw that and I read his autobiography.
Do you feel like now, like where you are up in life, right, that when you hear something you apply it like instantly, like in terms of when you're listening to like Elon Musk, like do you have a standard of like, do you take advice from everyone, or do you just take advice from like people you look up to? Because like, do you listen to all of Elon's Musk advice, for example?
Absolutely not.
So what made you pick that part?
Yeah, good question. So I think when I was, obviously I'm still young, right? I'm 20, but when I was 16, 17, and I was listening to people, the way I would grade if I should listen to them is strictly just based on their monetary success. And that has changed a lot as I got closer with those people, beat some of the coaching people that I worked with, revenue-wise, financially, brand, all that stuff. Now for me, I prioritize taking advice from people that are higher up in that domain of life than me. So Elon Musk, never in a million years would I take health, mindset, and relationship advice from that guy. I think my man's got like 7 kids and been in 15 relationships.
Named X.
And he's fat. And he does ketamine every week. So it's like, I wouldn't take any advice from him on that. But when it comes to managing a team, condensing time frames, and building a really big company, that's the guy that I should be listening to.
Yeah, you just take advice from their strongest
So I take everything with a grain of salt. On top of that as well, I think a mistake I used to make was taking people's advice and taking it wholeheartedly instead of taking it with a grain of salt. Like, if you look at Alex Hormozi, he has this belief around, like, or what he used to before he spoke with Tony Robbins, like, pain is success, it needs to be painful. But then I looked at that.
Then he had a kid.
And then he had a kid, and now, like, all of a sudden that's gone out the window. You know? So I'm like, take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah, well, I actually made a story this morning, and it was... I made a story this morning, and it was taught, and I basically said, I don't believe in the best version of yourself. I think you're just better than you were yesterday. And I feel like if you have that mindset, then you don't have a cap on who you can become. Because if you're like, oh, I want to become this version of myself, then you're capped to that version of yourself. But if you wake up every morning and being like, I'm going to absolutely crush it versus I'm going to be the best version of myself, you're going to go 100 times further. By not having that cap on your mind mentally.
I think the process of evolution is just the number one thing of life.
That's the best word for it. Evolution.
That's all it is. And like, whether you believe in evolution in the past or not, the strongest survive, always. It's like the giraffes with the longest necks who were able to get the most food were the ones that made the rest like they were the ones that survived,
Yeah.
and they were the ones that bred, and that's why every giraffe now has long necks. I think it's the exact same here. And you could look at this in the domain of business. The people that evolve the fastest, that move the quickest, that are chameleons, they're the ones that grow the biggest businesses and don't die out. A prime analogy of this or example would be, you look at Netflix and then you look at Blockbuster. Both of them had the exact same thing. Retail stores, they were selling DVDs, CDs. One of them didn't change fast enough, didn't adapt, didn't evolve, doubled down on what was working at the time, but didn't align with what was happening in modern day. Then you look at Netflix, which at the time, I believe Blockbuster was a bigger company.
They were at the time.
Yeah, and now Blockbuster's out of business. Netflix, multi-billion, if not trillion-dollar company.
Crushing
Huge.
it.
Prime example of evolution in one domain. And I think that applies in health. I think it applies in wealth, in relationships. You have to evolve in all domains.
Yeah, and especially that's a good one you brought up, like dating culture these days.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I can't like catch myself out of this. I'm so warped to traditionalism. It somewhat doesn't exist to a certain degree, and you have to evolve to the current culture. What's your thoughts on dating like these days?
Yeah. Well, actually, first thing on that is, I know we were talking like being locked in and lust being a distraction.
Yeah.
First thing I'll say on that is, I do think every person when they're starting the business needs to go through a phase where they completely ignore relationships completely, specifically on the dating side.
Is there a time frame?
Yeah. I would say at least 12 months.
12.
At least.
Why that? Like, why 12 months?
Yeah. So, for example, for me, when I was 15 or 16, I was in a relationship for like a year, and obviously I was very young. But I'd like to say I've always been pretty mature for my age. And back then, I was in a relationship for a year.
You're an old soul, bro.
Yeah, I'm an old soul.
Yeah, I'm like
internally.
talking to someone my age.
Yeah, and I ended things, and then from 16 to like 18, 19, I didn't focus any time on barely partying, which I think regardless is a distraction, but dating, dating apps, cold approaching, I didn't do any of it. If I could go back, honestly, I've thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I could have developed the cold approaching
But you would never
skill.
be where you are now.
Exactly.
Because like this is, I was talking to Daniel, a mate when I'm staying with here about it, but these people would say, oh, feel free to have X amount of days off, but they're talking from a place of they've already achieved the success.
Exactly.
I'm like, if you would rewind time and took exactly the advice that you're like doing right now, you wouldn't be in the position you are.
Yep. That's exactly what I believe in as well. It's like, it's easy for me to say, oh, if I could go back, like, I wish I spent more time developing the dating skill. But like, in retrospect, I wouldn't change anything because I literally condensed. I went from 0 to 100 grand a month in like 11 months. And then I went to 250 in like another 6. And I think that was only possible for me to condense years of learning into that short time window because all I was focused on and obsessed on was that one goal.
What do you think the biggest reason you hit that goal in that 11 months? Like what was the, if you could look back, like what was the deciding factor of you hitting the goal versus not hitting the goal?
Good question. I was all in. Now, what I mean by that is, and I know it sounds very...
Because I feel like you're all in now.
Yeah. When I say all in, I mean I didn't know a single person that was willing to sacrifice at the level I was. I literally have, and I was showing Jason this the other day.
I mean, I looked at your videos, so you're posting, I'm like, man was locked in.
When I started this business, I literally did everything that I knew other people weren't willing to do. So for example, I shaved my head, and I looked when like I was 12, when I was like 16, because I knew it would stop me from going out more, because I wouldn't get women.
Yeah.
Prime example. Extreme.
No, but it's good that you're extreme though.
Yeah.
Because everyone like thrives under certain different pressures.
And I thrive under that environment. And
Massively.
I literally cut everything. Everyone. I moved out, legit, at the start of 2024. I was already making decent money. I moved to a town where I knew no one, and I lived there by myself in isolation, and all I did is I would wake up, I would go to the gym, I would work, I would go to sleep. And I just repeated that every day.
What's your, like, give a little bit more context behind that, just in case someone's watching, but I think it depends on the business model they're running to do that.
Very true.
Someone might be like, for instance, I'm into like life maxing pretty much.
Yeah.
My business is people.
Yeah.
So I have to network. So like, what business models would that apply for?
Good question. I think it does heavily depend on the model.
Yeah.
Like if in your business, you don't have like these 8-hour deep work blocks every day, it probably wouldn't make sense for you to have.
No, maybe max 3 hours
That's
on the
what
computer,
I'm saying.
max.
Yeah. But like, for the business model I was in, which was the agency space, and I was building all these back-end operations and team management and learning all this stuff about like building the sales team, the marketing team, the fulfillment team, the client management. There was so much back-end stuff that was involved in that it was necessary. I was also in sales, keep in mind, so I was selling all these people as well. So there was so many moving parts I was involved in, and that's the reason why it made sense. And I think that's why I was able to condense the time frame. I just did all the things that people weren't willing to do.
Yeah.
And I never, which again, I look back sometimes and I'm like, oh, I wish I celebrated a little bit more. But in retrospect, I don't.
But if you celebrate, then that's your cap.
Exactly. What you pedestalize, you'll never get. And if you get it, it's like, okay, I'm comfortable
But
now.
it's the same as women, right?
Yeah.
You pedestalize a woman, then she ends up leaving you. That's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Same as the business and the business model. If you pedestalize that capital or the amount you want to earn for the month, it keeps getting further and further away.
Yeah.
Where if you aim for like what you're doing, like 7 figures monthly, or even higher than that, your end goal, and you land on 700K a month, then it becomes a lot easier to hit that goal.
I love doing this. You might have seen on my Instagram, obviously we were speaking about this and doing it. The accountability video I did, and I pinned it. For me, that is my ultimate form of external accountability. I've done it at every level, 10K, 100K, 500K. I've always done these accountability videos. And I find that I thrive on having all eyes on me and watching me.
I think each person is like an individual person, like responds differently to certain things.
Yes, 100%.
But the way you respond to things that I've seen is you can handle that much pressure, and I feel like you're like a hot pot. Like the hotter it gets, the more pressure you have, the more results you get.
Exactly.
Massively. And I see that night and day, where when I first started working with you, you're still in the comfortable mindset.
Yeah.
Now I can see a night and day difference in terms of like you just taking it to the moon and back.
Yeah.
And putting it all on the table.
Yeah. I just love making audacious goals and making it happen.
Yeah.
Like this time last year, I said we're going to be making $1 million a month by August. And now we're 60 days away from that. And last month we had a lower month where we were at like half of that. And now I'm figuring out, how do we double the business in 60 days consistently? I don't want to just hit it 1 month. But I think there's merit in thinking that way. Because the things that I do when I think that way are different to me going, oh, it's going to take us a year. Like, oh, I'm definitely, bet your ass going to do a big upsell at our event. We need to start selling more things. I had a call with our client success team yesterday. I'm like, we're going to start selling a 7-figure roundtable offer that's $40K a year with exclusive masterminds, different calls, unlimited recruitment. I wouldn't have thought of these things.
I'm just curious though, what made you slip back into the other way of thinking?
Yeah, good question.
Because if you know, and that's what I recognized when we sat down and were talking about it, I instantly recognized if that was the biggest trigger to your success, why stop doing that?
Yeah.
Because once you hit 7 figures, I'm going to tell you to aim the goal and say it publicly again.
Yeah.
For like multiple 7 figures a month.
Yeah.
So what was the core reason for you to slip back into that I'm going to call it a bad habit?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm not going to say I got comfortable, but I kind of did. It's not like I wasn't still working my arse off in the business, but I wasn't working as hard as I could be. And reason being is, the way I rationalize it in my mind is for like 3 or 4 years, I went really hard on health and wealth. I would say 100% in on wealth and maybe 70 on health. Now I want to go 100% in health and really dial it in, right? But I did that and I never truly experienced like this like...
What were you trying to experience though?
I was trying to experience...
Because you said something quite unique to me. You said, I am 20 and try to justify drinking.
Yeah.
And I said, just because you're 20 and you don't like drinking doesn't mean you have to drink. So why do you think you were rationalizing that?
I don't actually know.
Like what's a deeper thing? Because it's a deep thing.
Yeah.
I can't answer it for you because you're in your own mind.
Yeah.
But why do you think? Is it Instagram? Is it other people you're hanging around?
It probably is.
Because
it's just external conditioning and environment. That would be the biggest reason. And you know, I think you go to a place like Miami and you start seeing the lifestyle and yada, yada, yada.
But what's the lifestyle? Because I think that's subjective. Because I could go there and you know who I'm like as a person. I could see something different. So what put you into that thinking of the lifestyle?
Must be wrong people.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I don't think there's anything wrong with having a good lifestyle and life maxing. But then there's like life maxing and degen maxing.
Yeah, there's DJ max. Yeah, I think they're two completely different things.
They are.
And I feel like they
And I was
get you two
stepping on the
different
side.
results.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact, like, I think a lot of people, they get caught up between the Gen Maxing, think it's the best thing for them.
Yeah.
Because it's just a dopamine hit, but it doesn't actually bring you purpose and fulfillment. And do you feel like, even though you're young and I get it, like you're making these sacrifices of not drinking and the other stuff that we spoke about, but do you feel like that's a lot more fulfilling doing that?
Of course. At the end of the day, going out and being a slave to lust and going in and getting drunk there's zero fulfillment. It's short-term gratification. That's all it is.
Why do you think people chase that?
Because it's easy in the moment and it gives you the ego boost of being able to also externally show that you're at these parties and then everyone else wants it. So I think it's like twofold. It's all immediate gratification. That's all it is. It's ego.
I think this is going to hit hard for everyone who's like 20 years old or like around your age, right? Who really struggle with lust and really struggle with locking in. Because I feel like you would have a lot of people who come to you with your agency who are young.
Yeah.
I personally believe that's probably one of the core reasons why they can't achieve their financial
I agree.
goals. So give someone, like my question is to you, what advice would you give someone who's battling that? Because the thing is they're young and you're very intuitive and a lot of people aren't like you, you're an anomaly. What advice would you give someone who doesn't even know they're going through it, and what steps would they be able to check off, right, to see if they're actually doing that?
Yeah.
And having those bad habits without realizing.
So I think there's two different types of buckets of people. You've got the people that are in a relationship, and I've seen this many times with people that come and work with me, where they'll be in a relationship and it worked, but now they're trying to grow, and unfortunately that person in that relationship is like chaining them down and holding them back. And they're trying to level someone up, but you can lead a horse to water, you can't force it to drink.
Yeah, 100%.
And the best thing they can do is cut ties. And you know what? As much as I was actually in a really good relationship when I was like 16, I had to do that because selfishly for me, I felt like it would have slowed me down. And it was the best thing that I could have done. So I think in situations like that, you got to gauge if like they can level up with you or you have to cut ties, especially if you're younger. But on the other side of being a single man, you can't focus on it, because the problem is the more you focus on it, the desire of lust, the stronger it gets, and the stronger it gets, the harder it is to control.
Well, in the Bible,
it's like a slippery slope.
Yeah, well, in the Bible it talks about.
Got a little dog floating around.
Hey, buddy. In the Bible it says never like try to be strong in lust and resist it. It says run away from lust, and I think that's a core thing. What people actually misjudge is their strength to control themselves with lust, when it's a biological hardwiring to not resist, because we want to what's the word? I can't say that.
Reprogram.
No, like having more kids. What's the word? Not reproduce, reprocreate,
I have no idea. You lost me on this one.
Procreate. Is that what it is?
We'll go with that.
Yeah, we'll just run with that. Yeah. Shit, I just ruined it. But yeah, basically, a lot of people, they just try to control lust by just saying no to it, when that's never the answer. When you should channel that energy, and that, like, funny as enough, sexual energy, into their business and into things they want to grow. And for me, that is the most powerful energy, and it's like kryptonite.
So true. I had a straight, and this was an extreme example, I had a straight year when I was literally didn't masturbate once, did not have sex once for a whole year.
And was that your biggest year?
Not my biggest year, but growth-wise, like, oh my God, I was locked in.
What was the biggest thing you noticed from doing that?
I mean, I'll tell you that the good thing is it also works in complete opposition, where the more you focus on lust and the more you indulge in it, the harder it is to grab and get rid of. The complete opposite. The complete opposite occurs. When you don't focus on it, the longer you go, the less of a problem it is. So like after like 4 or 5 months,
that's nothing.
I didn't have. Of course, as a man, you're going to get lustful thoughts.
Oh,
it happens. But the level of control I had over silencing them and suppressing them was so much higher.
I think it's like the diet as well, your nutrition. When you get your diet plan on lock, it's the first 4 weeks of saying no to all the shit food you were eating beforehand. But then after that 4-week hump, it's so much easier to say no and get everything on lock. And I'll be vulnerable in saying specifically over the last 6 months or so, lust has been a problem for me. And it's been something that started to gain control over my mind again, and I started letting it slip. And like
Prime example, I had this KPI of like going on like 3 dates a week. And I would drink alcohol every day. And what I realized is the problem wasn't necessarily developing the skill of talking to women and getting myself out there. The problem was thinking that I had to do it with the intention of lust the whole time, and I had to drink alcohol. If those two things weren't there, I'm
very curious, like, where did that thought come from? Was it like to prove a point?
Devil.
Or yeah, that's true.
Seriously, the devil.
Yeah.
I mean, if we think about lust, I think it's the number one thing that fucks most men over, that grabs them by the balls. You look at all the biggest conquerors in the world. It's what
Even
held
in the
them back.
Bible, the strongest men
Yeah.
got destroyed by lust.
Marcus Aurelius, Alexander the Great.
Exactly. But if you can say no to lust, that's your biggest asset, because it's just energy at the end of the day as well.
Yep.
And it's a massive distraction. But
Yeah. Like, lust it's one of those that at the end of the day, if you're in a relationship or you're allocating attention to it, it's not going to be there. You can't just get rid of it.
No, you can't.
But what you can do is you can suppress it. And you can gain control on it by just keeping your word. I think that's one of those, much like your health, that you need to have in lock. Because you can tell if a man doesn't have their lust under control.
Oh, massive.
And you can tell how it shows up.
You can just hang out with a guy and just watch his eyes when he's in a public area. You can tell, and I don't know if you do this, so when I'm hanging out with a guy and I want to know if I trust him 100%, I'll watch where his eyes gauge when he's in public. Because if he stares at a woman, I don't trust him.
That's a really good one.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that. But like, if you're out and you want to trust someone 100%, watch where their eyes gauge. Because of a man who can't control his lust, how can you trust him in business? Because as soon as a woman comes up, again, what we were talking about before, lust has destroyed the strongest men, destroyed kingdoms. So how can you build your empire around someone who's going to get destroyed by the one thing that's destroyed the strongest men that we know?
Yeah.
So that's sort of like one of my, how I've created my friendship group and how I trust someone 100% is just basically gauging on how their relationship is with women and how they control their lust. And I feel like, if you have a strong control over lust, and not even a strong control, but like you're consciously aware of how bad it is and you try to do everything in your power to stay away from it, versus the guy what just reacts. And as a prime example, actually, me and Daniel were talking about it today. We were sitting at Reload at the gym, and there was this chick just walking around. I think you saw her like purposely walking around. Yeah. And just watching all the men coming up to her and like approaching her and just reacting just shows like you don't want to be like those other guys. If you want to be an anomaly, you can't be like everyone else. And if you're just walking up to like a woman you find like taking out of like cold approaching aside, but like because you're doing it completely different reasons, confidence, all that type of stuff. But if you're trying to do it out of the reason of like to have sex with that woman, that just means you're a weak man because you can't control your thoughts and you're reacting on like, I lost it, but
No, I get your point. And I had a question on that. What's your thoughts on the feminine masculine dynamic in a relationship? Like, I know people, I'm not gonna name names, who are in relationships where like the woman wears the pants and the man is a bit of a cook. And I want to get your thoughts on that dynamic and like what you think of like a traditional relationship and how it works.
I think my views on a traditional relationship still stands. The man's the head of the household and the woman should not like be a slave or like, because that's what a lot of people these days, they claim it as like, oh, the woman's a slave of the man, but just her traditional role to do the traditional things, what a man is required to build his kingdom. Now, if a man's under the woman's thumb, I believe he's just a pussy. He's just weak. Because if you speak to any man where he's under the woman's thumb, he usually has low test, doesn't hit the gym, doesn't have a strong friendship group, cannot control lust, and that's a man you should never trust, is a man that is controlled by a woman. Because at the end of the day, we have to ask, why is he controlled by a woman? Why? Because it's lust. It's not logic, it's just lust. So this is my view on those types of relationships, is that man is under lust's control at the maximum capacity. Because if you remove the love glasses and you remove the lust, then he would be disgusted on how he's acting. And I see this time and time again, and you've probably seen it. When a man is putting that woman on a pedestal and then she cheats on him or leaves him for another man, how quick he starts calling himself out on his
Yep.
shit.
Yeah, and they either breaks them
Yeah.
or they fucking level up and they go to a whole new level.
Yeah, and well, heartbreak, or even for me, heartbreak's probably one of the biggest motivators
For
ever.
sure.
I think every man should go through as much heartbreak as he possibly can, because
The biggest driver.
those are the biggest moments in life, and in my experience, that have propelled me forward in such a short period of time. And you've probably experienced it yourself.
It's funny you mention this. When I was younger and I was in that relationship for like a year,
Yeah.
like we were in a great relationship,
Yeah.
but things turned a bit sour and I ended the relationship. But then it was like, she couldn't live without me, yada yada, you know what they say. And then the next day with one of my best friends, and I still have a screenshot because I was in my like Andrew Tate self-improvement.
Yeah, I think
I hadn't shaved my hair off yet here
Yeah.
though, you know, that was the catalyst. And then what happened is I still have a screenshot on my phone. I went back and looked at it last week of messages and I was like, thank you so much for doing this for me. You don't understand how much fuel this has given me. I will be the best man you have ever seen and ever will have. And I remember reading that back, and that pain fueled me so much to do all the shit no one was willing to do.
That was probably the catalyst for you locking in.
For sure. And I think that, as well as, I think artificially creating pain can actually be really beneficial.
Oh, bro, I do that all the time.
Yep.
I'll stare at things. I'm not going to say what I stare at, but I stare at things just to fuel me in the morning.
Yep.
If I'm feeling lazy or just unmotivated, again, if you just trigger that part in your mind and you get that spark of motivation, you're firing. And then that removes any fears or limiting beliefs you have.
Bro, it's so funny.
And no one thinks of stuff like that.
No. Everyone thinks like, because this is the thing.
I'm going to listen to David Goggins' motivation.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's weak shit.
Yeah. Like David Goggins, or I'm going to have this big vision, which I think is important, but I'm yet to find a motivator as strong as pain. Never. Like I literally have a document called my pain list, and if I feel like I'm getting a bit soft, I'll go through that and it will amp me the fuck up. It's like all the people that ever doubted me, all the people that pissed me off. Like prime example is, I've got a line on there that's like, my dad literally left me, never supported me, and how I'm going to make him feel bad for how shit of a father he was by being the best father and making my success so loud that he can't ignore it.
That's powerful.
And it's like, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And that shows up in everything that I do.
And I think every man who's watching this needs to find that internal trigger. And because the thing is, it's like, you can't just write random things down. You have to find the particular or a specific trigger that triggers you to go over the edge and push you past the limiting beliefs.
And people think it needs to be this like super inspiring thing.
No.
Honestly, some of mine were like so ego driven, and if I read it out, it's like, this is fucking stupid.
But it's
like,
just added to the list.
But
It's compounding
I
effect.
felt it. That's the most important part.
Yeah.
You got to feel it. It's got to push you.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It could be like one thing or 100 things, but you'll know when you get that feeling of drive.
Yeah.
And I'm the same.
Like prime example for me was like, okay, I had a window of time in school when I was known as like the gay best friend. I was like kind of feminine, and I was like friends
Completely
with
different now.
I was like friends with all the girls, but I wasn't like getting with any of them. And this was a window of time where I was like quite overweight, and I was like the complete opposite of a masculine man. And I had some fuel there where I was like, I want to show all these motherfuckers up. They're going to be messaging me from taking the piss. They're going to be messaging me, asking me for a job, asking me how I got so shredded, asking me how I got so successful. And it's funny, it happens. I get people from my hometown
have they
messaging.
messaged you?
Of course.
What do they say?
Oh, what you're doing is amazing, bro. Super inspiring.
How does it make you feel? Wait. Has any of them asked you for a job?
Yeah, of course.
How did that make you feel when you saw that?
I'm just like, I mean, it comes full circle, you know? Like, you see it here first.
Yeah.
I knew it would happen. Like, I knew, I had the delusional belief. I built that. And you build that through just speaking about things and then making it happen. Like, self-mastery is the ability to stick to conscious commands. Saying you're going to do something and doing it. And that's why, like, every time I made a video and posted it and was like, I'm going to do this, and then I did it, it's like that belief built and built and built and built.
I think if more people, I know for a fact, if more people just did that and called themselves out on their shit, and then if they are too scared to call themselves out of the shit or taking that leap from posting it publicly online, the amount of success they would achieve, and I feel like that's half of the reason why people don't achieve this success, what they want to in life, is because one, no one calls them out on their shit, or two, they don't call themselves out on the shit.
Yeah.
And I think you're a prime example of that. The fact that you're willing to go so far to post a video online, calling yourself out in the shit, so then you have the eyes to create that like basically pressure cooker environment, no wonder you're earning the money you're earning. It's such a short period of time. And I think that's probably one of the catalysts to your success as well.
I completely agree.
And I feel like, because I'm just going to make the claim here, you're going to run over everyone in your game.
100%. Everyone's getting destroyed.
But this is the thing. You've been in the game for how long?
3-4 years.
And everyone else has been in the game for how long?
Yeah,
so you're going to run through them.
Exactly.
Yeah, but they're not willing to do what you're doing. And that's going to separate. And I'm going to see it I can already see it happening, bro.
Yeah.
And what's your current goal?
Our current goal is $1 million a month, and we're going to do it in the next 60 days.
Light work.
And that's baby steps.
Yeah.
I hate this all your online space, $1 million a month, $2 million a month. Fuck that. I want to build a company doing hundreds of millions of dollars a month, and we'll do it. I know we'll do it.
What do you think the biggest thing that's going to be I wouldn't say the biggest thing, but what do you think the biggest lever puller is going to be to get there?
To get to $1 million.
Yes.
It's going to be a few things. Number one, it's going to be team development. That sounds very woo-woo, but over the last 6 months, 12 months, I have not poured as much time, resources, attention into team development as I have. So one-on-ones with the team, team trainings with the CSMs. On the more practical side, again, now we're doing daily meetings with the client success team. My goal is to make it so 70% of our revenue every month all comes from back-end upsells and renewals. Right now, we're at a 60-40 split. We might make 300 grand from back-end. But imagine if we were making 500, 600, 700 grand a month from just upsells and renewals. Most businesses only rely on new cash. They don't have any back end. If we can be predominantly reliant on back end, we have sustainability and we have the best product in the market. So that's a big focus for us.
And how do you recognize the missing links in your business to create more cash flow?
Yeah.
Versus just say one day you wake up and then the next day you see it.
Yeah. I think the number one skill you can develop past 50K a month in business is knowing how to diagnose and fix constraints. Number one skill that I've ever learned, and it's all I do now. That's literally my job. My job is to zoom out on the business and look at the battlefield, look at the players on the battlefield, look at the team leaders and where they're running and how they're running and what problems they're getting hit with, and identify the biggest problem on that battlefield that if solved would allow us to advance way further. Because in every business, some shit stays fucked. There's hundreds of problems in every business that could be solved. It's just, what's the one problem that if solved would allow us to 2, 5, 10x? And that's what I focus my time on focusing on.
I know this is going to be a bit woo-woo as well, but do you think one of the number one problem, or the number one problem of why people can't scale a business or make as much money as they want is because they don't have the balls to go all in?
100%. 100%.
We can talk business stuff all day, but sometimes the number one deciding factor is they don't have, we were talking about the other day about going all in with ad spend and just saying, fuck it.
Yep. Bro, it's
So how do people overcome that?
There's the strategy, which that's what people want. What are the 5 tips to get me to 100K a month? What's the one hire? What's the one system? What's the one mindset shift? The strategies change. What doesn't change is your philosophy on how you approach solving those problems. And for me, that mindset shift, I've been in every mastermind you can imagine. I've spent easily at least 500, 600 grand on coaching, courses, mentorships, masterminds. And I like picking different things from different people. And one thing that I took away from the higher level guys is that they just have bigger balls. So funny. It's not even.
That's just what it comes down to, though.
Yeah.
They all have the same skills, but it's who's willing to spend the most money on ads?
It's
and go broke, but not care.
Yeah. There was an extreme example. I went to a mastermind in a program I'm in 6 months ago. There was a guy there and this is an extreme example. I think this was kind of stupid, but this is an example of someone with big balls. He pulled out a loan and was in 100 grand of debt to run his ads. And then he pulled out another loan for 500 grand to scale up the business, and he acquired a business with that money. And he was even bigger in the hole, more in the hole. 12 months went by, still unprofitable. And then he started having meetings with his attorney on how he was going to pay it off, what the consequences would be, and he's still pulling out loans, investing. And then all of a sudden he finally got it and shot up after he was in $1 million of debt. And that is someone, even though that is stupid, I don't know if I would go that far. That's a prime example of getting your balls and just slapping them on the table.
But the thing is, you could die tomorrow.
Exactly.
And that's what people don't understand. It's I could die tomorrow, get hit back up. I don't know what's going to happen. Whatever God has planned for me. So why wouldn't I live all in on a day like this?
You have to. It's so true. And it's all of us could die tomorrow. and all the problems you think are problems and all the things you play out in your head on the worst case usually never happen. There's never been a time where I've played out a worst case scenario in something and delayed the action on it and then actually took the action and that worst case scenario actually took effect. It's like, well, if I go from, prime example last month, if I go from spending 1K a day on ads to like 6K a day on ads, am I gonna die? Okay, so what's the worst case? And your mind starts inflating the problems because it wants to stay comfortable.
Yeah, well, that's the biggest thing. That's why I love about chasing a 1% physique, because all the habits you have to have in place removes those limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
But yeah, you went to 6K.
Yeah, and we went to 6K a day because what I find is when I'm tasked with a problem or a belief that's holding me back from putting my balls on the table, what helps me is literally just whipping up a Google document and asking, what's the worst case? And not thinking about, oh, emotionally, what does that look like? How does that feel? Well, let's do the math here. I spend 180 grand on ads. Am I really that retarded to having spent 30K a quarter of the way through the month and be unprofitable and keep them running? No. So the worst case is I'm 30K out of pocket, of which we profit like 10x that every month anyway, so who gives a fuck?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's like, the worst case isn't bad at all.
I'm very curious on your thoughts on this. Like, do you feel like you taking care of your... Actually, this is a better question. If you could do a comparison in a percentage, right? What's the percentage of risk tolerance and stress tolerance you can take from when you don't take care of your mindset and your physique versus when you have everything locked in? Because the thing is, you have such a high stress environment, and you've lived the polar opposite that you've told me. So what is the difference between being locked in versus not being locked in stress tolerance?
I think much like muscle, stress is a muscle you have to develop. If you're not consistently putting yourself in high pressure environments, that muscle deteriorates. And I think that's the same with everything. A lot of skills you develop in business. So when I got comfortable over the last 6 months, keep in mind, I was still taking a lot of risk in the business. So it wasn't like
you're still high pressure environment.
But it was not as high pressure as what I was used to before. So like making these big decisions and calling these shots on like, you need to go, we need to bring this person in. I'm gonna, like prime example, the last few months, we literally teared out half our team, straight up. Sales manager gone,
people?
Marketing manager gone, 3 AI developers gone, a partner gone, 4 sales reps gone, 2 setters gone. We literally pulled out half our team, which I was kicking the can down the road so long.
Why though?
Because I'm anticipating, oh fuck, is this like even worth it? Do we need to do this? The business is in an okay spot. But I'm like, yeah, this is okay if we want to stay where we're at, but fuck staying where we're at.
Yeah, 100%.
And like, I noticed that you could argue it was the devil calling me to comfortability, seeing, oh, you know, the short-term gratification of doing all these things. I'm in a good spot. I don't need to grow anymore. Like, I'm already 30 years ahead of where I should be.
Yeah, 100%.
I can like slow down a little bit.
And those are the exact thoughts that you have, right?
Yeah, of course. And they're the things that fuck you over the most. And that's the biggest problem I see with people that reach a decent level of success. For some people that's 10K a month, some people that's 50, some people that's 100.
Well, I noticed that though, because I work with some pretty high level guys who earn a ton of cash, and I come into their life, not even like from a business perspective, but from a health perspective. And then as soon as we start taking their physiques and mindsets to another level, all these limiting beliefs that they have just instantly get removed, similar to your situation.
Yeah.
So I have this question for you, bro. What is the reason, or what's the deciding factor in your mind as to why you haven't stepped into faith?
Good question. I genuinely don't know. Now, for context, when I was in Miami, I went to church for the first time, and it was an eye-opening.
I didn't know that. You didn't say that.
It was an eye-opening experience, and I really enjoyed it. Like, I felt it, you know? And there's been
Did you start singing?
Huh?
Did you start singing? Yeah, that's so cool. That's it.
And there was many times that I've either ordered a Bible, or 2 times I've literally been bought a Bible by friends. And I just never read it. And I'm like mentally in myself, externally in the world, I'm a happy individual. I love my life. And although it is an interest of me to dive deeper into faith, I just haven't done it. It's just not been a priority, which I know right away, saying that out loud, I'm like, that's not the best thing to say about faith. Because faith is number 1 priority, but...
It's not. I want to give you 2 reasons, and this is not me convincing you, this is just logical statements, right? I believe in heaven and hell, right? So believing in Jesus and having a relationship with Jesus and giving your life to Jesus, you're entered a pathway into heaven, right? But now I see you as a house on fire because you haven't given your life to Jesus. But what is the worst case scenario? Like you said with the business, you put on a piece of paper. What's the worst case scenario? That you give your life to Jesus and you go all in on Jesus. You go to heaven. But what's the worst case scenario if you don't give your life at all? What happens? You go to hell. But you could say believe not heaven or hell, but like, do you want to really risk it like 50-50? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the second thing is the unparalleled faith and risk tolerance you have when you have God in your life and embodied in your life, when you allow the Holy Spirit in. Because you cannot compete against a man that has the utmost amount of faith. Because he literally doesn't care what happens in his life. So imagine how far you could go in life if you had that subconscious belief and conscious belief to be able to do absolutely anything without any doubt of failure. And that's what having a relationship with Jesus is like.
Yeah.
That's the best way I can explain it. And also you have the blessings of God. So that would be the two reasons what I would want you to entertain to want to be in a relationship with Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Because you can feel it in the church as well. And it's something that, well, we all have a part of the Holy Spirit in us. It's just awakening the Holy Spirit by obviously saying the prayer of salvation.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the values that I have also align with the Bible anyway. So it's not that I'm not religious, it's just I'm not all in on it.
Yeah.
Because I haven't read the Bible, and I think that would be the next step for me.
I don't think, from my opinion, I never read the Bible to give my life to Christ. Obviously, I've told you my story and stuff like that in terms of how I came to Christ. But I feel like just living by certain actions of the Bible is the best way to understand the relationship with Jesus. Because I didn't know anything about the Bible when I gave my life to Christ. But my life looked completely different. I was able to give up things that I couldn't. And the thing is, to reap the benefits, and for God to bless you, you have to obviously give your life up. And I don't mean give your life up in the sense of like killing yourself, but allowing God to take control and take the reins of your life. Alex Mosey says, give before you take.
Yeah.
That carries me everywhere. I took that bit of, when I read that in his book, I was like, that's it.
Yeah. And I think as well, like even on the negative client experience side, I think everyone at least once has had a client that either didn't get the result, didn't do the things you want them to do.
You can't do business without 100%. Business isn't 100% success.
Yeah. Or you fuck up.
Yeah.
And that's happened to me many times. And I think you're bound to have at least one fuck up, especially if you scale. You're going to have many. You're going to have people that want refunds, that might charge back. But what matters is how you handle it.
Yeah.
I've had situations where I bought things, not going to name them, but I bought like a program.
Yeah.
And I made it clear, I don't want this. Please just double check it's not this.
Yeah.
And I come in and it's exactly that, and they oversold me. And prime example, I left the program, like I left all the resources within an hour. And left the Slack and everything. I emailed him, or called him, sorry, and I was like, bro,
refund.
This was shit, respectfully. Happy to hop on a call. I'll run you through exactly what I would do if I were you, because you oversold me here.
Yeah.
Just give me a refund. I paid him 20K. I said, keep 5K. You did an hour-long onboarding call with me and helped me with some sales stuff. It was all right. Like, 5K is me over pushing tremendously. Keep it, wish you the best.
Yeah.
Wouldn't give me the money back. And I'm like, things like that are what put you in a position where when someone asks how is it working with that person, they're not going like, bro, the best in the game.
Best in the world.
That's what you want, because you don't get any clients from like, yeah, he's all right.
Yeah, he's all right.
You definitely don't get any clients. You lose clients from fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So the only option is to have people saying, this guy's the best at what he does.
Yeah.
He's
And
incredible.
I think that's where the mindset of thinking you're the best in the world
Yes.
is so important.
There's no merit to the worst. There's no merit to the middle.
best.
The merit goes to the best.
Exactly.
Nobody knows the second fastest racer.
Exactly.
Like, everyone knows Usain Bolt.
That's my mindset.
Yeah. So you've got to be the Usain Bolt.
Yeah, 100%.
Let's do that question.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing, one thing that you've learned from one another.
Yeah, the biggest thing I would say I'd learned from you is just have bigger balls and think bigger. That is legitimately it. I was thinking big, but not like fuck you big.
Yeah.
Since flying to Bali and seeing how you operate as an operator was showing where I was leaving game on the table. Just even sitting next to you and just watching how you operate on the computer absolutely insane. And the way you do things is so out of the box thinking. Now I'm thinking in a very similar metric, obviously different business models,
Yeah.
so I can't apply everything you do. But I thought I was taking big risks, and I don't care about how bad the risk if it fails, but it's not about that. It's just like I wasn't just operating in the mindset of like bigger risks, or for instance, like I wasn't even thinking of like running ads. Then I met you, then I've hired a sales team in a matter of 4 days.
Yeah.
You can ask Daniel, and now I'm like, oh bro, I just put 20 grand this month.
Let's fucking go. Yeah.
Just because you were doing it.
Yeah.
And like, if I'd never came to Bali and hung out with you, I would have never did that.
Yeah.
And now we're booking like 8 calls daily, leads flowing,
Yeah.
all because of our chats.
Yeah.
Genuinely.
I think the power of like proximity with these things is so key, because it's not even like the direct things, it's the indirect things you pick up in how people operate. I think for me the biggest thing is you need to be reminded more than you need to be taught. And I think as well, seeing things in action are completely different to being told something.
Massively.
So for example, how you do anything is how you do everything. I believed that, but it was like, oh yeah, I kind of believe it. But then I see you actually practicing it in action. I've worked with many like performance coaches and things like that, and I told you that there's been times that maybe the service wasn't that good, or for example, they weren't following through with the things that they were telling me to do. You do absolutely everything and more that you would tell me to do. So it makes complete logical sense when I look at it to go, fuck, makes sense why Jai is so fucking dialed and in such good shape. And that's why I'm not as dialed and in as good shape as you, because I haven't been operating with that philosophy. And you do, you keep your word on all those things. And for me, that was my biggest takeaway, which is like, if I just took action in alignment with how you do anything is how you do everything. For example, the way that you onboarded me, the way you flew out here, like those all directly correlate with your physique. I'm like, I need to do the exact same thing. And this applies across every domain. I need to be, and I knew I needed to be in good shape. But now I'm like, there is not going to be a single person on my team, on my client list, who's in better shape than me. Can't happen. Can't tolerate it. I need to be in the best shape.
The anomaly, bro.
Yeah.
In all areas of life.
Yeah. I need to be, well, you know, the best looking, you could argue that. Maybe I have a clavicular on my fucking client roster.
Yeah.
But I need to be attractive, and I need to optimize that domain in my life. I need to be dialed physically, and I need to have the biggest business out of all my clients, and that's my goal.
And that's literally what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Life maxing.